painting I did, just a watercolor painting. In fact, yeah, there's a personal significance to it that's hard to describe.
Okay.
I mean,
But
I
I
could
guess
say
on
it,
an intuitional level, we can all grasp what it's about.
but I don't know. I feel like everyone would have a very different interpretation. Some might think this is about menstrual cramps.
Okay.
It's not.
Not what I thought about. But,
And what did you think about?
well, you know, a person entangled in, you know, I thought it was.
Entangled in what?
Well, entangled in something. In a symbolic entanglement.
I was definitely in a symbolic entanglement when I did this.
See? Can we go to the next?
Actually, it was a literal, almost literal entanglement as well.
Next, please. This is about the. This is a page from the. A story about Cairo, right?
This is another thing from. So I should stress that Luna is the person who wrote all of the text that you see in these pages. She sends me huge blocks of prose, and I break them up into text that's usable in comics. So I end up kind of restructuring what she writes, but it's her words.
Can we go to the next image, please? Another page.
And here she's describing the class system of belly dancers and dancers in general in Cairo. So it's this is dance nerd stuff, by the way, so if you're interested in dancing, which maybe one or two of you are, this will be interesting to you. For the rest, I don't know, but there are rigid class distinctions for dancers in Egypt. So if you dance in one context, it's unlikely that you will ever move into another. You either do street weddings, or you do five-star hotels, or you are a folklore dancer, or you are a Zephyr dancer, and that's the dancer you see in the lower right.
Yeah. May I point out the really sensuous lines of your work?
Yeah, I've always really enjoyed working with a brush.
This is the effect of your brush.
Yeah.
So it would look different if you used like a pen.
Yeah, I can't draw with a pen anymore. I feel like I'm cutting into the paper with a razor. I guess it's a very physical, drawing for me is a very physical act.
Yeah.
So the connection with the brush and the paper is more important to me.
Okay. Next image, please. This is from Yatside, right?
Yeah.
Yatside is about...
So Yatside is a comic I did about trauma and PTSD. I don't know what you say in Dutch, post-traumatic stress disorder.
I think we... Post-traumatic.
Okay, the same. So I lost a child a couple of years ago, very suddenly, very unexpectedly. My first child died in her sleep. And after she died, I thought a lot about my grandparents who were Holocaust survivors and never talked about it. And I thought about the burden that they carried around. And I wasn't thinking, I was just missing them, and I wanted to hold my grandfather's hand again. So I had, and that's not the page that's here, but there is a drawing of us holding hands. We only held hands in real life when I was very little and when he was dying, but I remember the feeling of his hand, and I just wanted to draw it again.
So, yeah, I'm not sure if I quite understood that story. Is it about somehow a strange paradoxical consolation you got from the suffering from your grandparents?
Maybe consolation is, I don't know if that's the right word, but I don't know if there's a better word. Solidarity. Solidarity. Well, I think that trauma is something that you think you will not experience. If you didn't experience it at a young age and you go into adulthood safe from it, and you think, okay. But I think that eventually everyone will be traumatized by something, and I think that it doesn't make you special, trauma, it makes you human. So I was thinking about that a lot, and I was also I just wanted to put his experience and mine together in some way, symbolically.
Yeah. You're very open about it. Also, you published this story on the internet.
Oh yeah. I published it on Tablet magazine.
Didn't have any qualms about it?
No. Oh no, I think, it's really important to talk about things like that, because people who have lost in that way, or many other kinds of pain, feel very isolated. So the more you talk about your own, the more you're helping other people. It doesn't mean you're obligated if you're not the kind of person who likes to talk.
Yeah, just to create more solidarity, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for people who can't or won't, for whatever reason.
Next image, please. Another page from Uzaki.
I really had fun doing this page.
Yeah? Why?
Well, so at this point, the book is in 4 sections, and in this section, Esther has become a lady of leisure, shall we say. She lives in a penthouse. And at this point, I took off into some fantasy inspired by old movies where, you know, American films from the 1930s, where everyone's living in impossibly palatial apartments and wearing beautiful dresses all the time and have perfect hairdos. I know it's a fantasy. So here, she and her sister have finally started speaking to each other again. And Esther convinces her sister to allow her to cut her hair in the style of the time.
Next image, please.
This was the printing. I should have done a better job with printing this one. I was trying a slightly different composition with the circles, and it didn't quite end up the way I wanted it, but that's okay.
Okay. So what were you trying to do?
So many years ago, I went to Turkey, and I went to this place called Meryem Ana. How many of you have ever been there? No one. Okay. So this is it's on a Christian pilgrimage route because they claim that, and I will quote, "This is the house where the Virgin Mary died." But it's not the actual house, they say. We had to build a different one. So, I mean, you know, I think that they put this, well, I'll get to that in a second. It's a pilgrimage site. It's really beautiful there. It's in the mountains. It's gorgeous. And it's really close to this beautiful Seljuk mosque that was also a wonderful place to visit. So there's a lot of sacred sites. There's also the Artemisian and all. It's been a place of pilgrimage really for thousands of years. So I started to get interested in those layers of history. And when we were at Meryem Ana, my friend and I saw that there was this keyhole-shaped pool that was much older than everything else at the site. Kind of off to the side, and no one was paying attention to it, and it didn't have a sign. And we felt like, this is like a goddess temple that they just slapped this Christian chapel on top of, probably. That's our theory. We don't know for sure, but we really felt like, I felt like this is a place people have been coming to invoke whatever they believe in for a very, very long time. So I was thinking about that spot. And again, it's there's a lot of fantasy in it, and mostly fantasy. I'm just imagining different people, women in pain at different time periods in the same spot.
Next image, please. Oh, now
I had nothing.